Okay, can you hear me now? Yeah, because that's a new one. Okay, you guys can hear me, but can you hear V? Okay, what about now? What? You can hear me? Oh my god, my computer is pissing me the fuck off. Reverb. Okay. It's echoey. Working. Okay, is this better? Can you hear me still? Okay, what about now? But now they can't hear you. Okay, let's try this one instead. Okay, you guys are still getting echo? Echo on who? No V and echo. Okay, what about now? Nope. No. I don't understand at fucking all what just happened. They can hear me, but not you, and your voice stuff isn't picking up. What happened? Yeah, but Cyberpunk we don't clip.
Oh.
Okay.
And so you think something about a computer update made this happen? Head V. Oh, heard V. I'm like, what? What?
Okay. You can hear V, I can hear V. I can see that you guys can hear me. Is anybody echoing or doing anything funky?
Or Jen, I hope you have tequila.
We did audio
No
testing
echo.
and okay, we did audio testing instead of me getting a drink. So no, I am sans everything right now.
Go get a drink.
I will.
I'll blab at everybody about
Perfect.
random shit. You need
Uh,
one. I got wine.
that's probably what I'm
Finished
gonna
the
go
bottle.
get.
Yeah. Okay, my sister says it's
I'm getting
perfect.
DMs all over the place. This is not helping, guys.
This is only 8 minutes this time. Last time it was what, like 45 minutes? Last time was horrible. I was defeated. You were not defeated because if you had been, we would have never fixed it. Like, you would have never fixed it.
Yeah.
So you are persistent and wonderful, and I'm useless just sitting here not doing anything helpful.
No. I need to get this all sorted out and figure out what the hell's going on with it.
Go get yourself some libation.
I will in just a second. I want to
Oh,
know
okay.
if. Oh, wow, that's way too much.
The clippy clips.
Yeah.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
I
Okay.
heard it. Did it
Yeah.
sound good to you guys?
No. It sounded
Oh,
like shit to me.
yeah. At this point, I don't know if it's just me or if that's how it is for you. So
No, so there's something weird that's it's echoey. Sam
yeah, it
was
sounded not
echoing.
echoey to me. It sounded just choppy to me.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Okay, wait a
That one
minute.
sounded a lot better to me.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
No,
That
that
was
was
worse.
way worse.
You
Hold
guys are the best.
on.
Coming to you live from troubleshooting.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Okay, so damn it. I'm clicking too many buttons and I think I fucked everything all up again. Oh, hold on. Okay, V, you try talking.
Hello, Earthlings. Can you
Perfect.
hear me? Okay.
They can hear me. They can hear you. And now let's see if they can hear Sam.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Sam smells
He
like
sounded
shit.
like poop. He sounded like poop.
Okay, you know what?
Absolute shit.
I think we are just gonna have to go with audio clips are gonna sound like shit to us. They are going to sound like shit on the Audacity recording, but when I edit and post, I can just throw the clips in.
Yeah. I think I sound like shit to the viewers too. probably.
I don't
If it's
think
shit to
so.
everybody else. Oh, okay. Well, I mean, hopefully it sounds good to you guys watching now. If not, go back and listen to it when it comes out on Monday. And then, doubly support us that way. My sister says it's fine. Okay, I can word vomit while you go get tequila if it's time for that, or wine, whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Okay, she just left. Woo! Hey, everybody. Guess what I did today? I binge watched Dragon Age Absolution because I am a nerd. If you didn't know, you know now. It was amazing. Ashley Birch was in it. I'm not going to do any spoilers because I'm sure a lot of people haven't had a chance to binge watch it yet, although I do know She-Cup and Teacup have, because we were discussing it in chat prior to starting this. Oh my god, Apollo. Wow, I need to direct her attention to that the second she comes back. That was amazing. So accurate. I think we're going to talk more about that only because of Anders. I'm not ready to not fight about him still, so we might do a little bit more of that later on. But as you know, we're going to be talking about Sebastian. You may not know who Sebastian is. You're going to find out, like I did, because I did not have this DLC when I played Dragon Age 2. But anyway, back to... Ew, okay, so my sister's boyfriend apparently doesn't want to watch it with her. My husband did watch it with me, which is why we are still married. It was thin ice. If he had said no, out. But yeah, I mean, I'm always ready to fight about Anders too. Honestly, did not think I hated him as much as... Okay, you know what? I don't know. I feel bad for him. I don't like his romance at all. And then there are a bunch of people on Twitter. His freaking post that we posted when his episode came out, that was like one of our most interacted with posts ever on Twitter. And it was a bunch of people being like, I know he's toxic, but I just love him. Guy's crazy. But yeah. Anyway, Dragon Age Absolution was... You should watch it at first opportunity that you have. It was great. I'm happy to say that there was plenty of romance packed into 6 30-minute episodes, 3 separate relationships, 2 of which are LGBTQ, and it was amazing. And I looked at the cast because I am a voice actor nerd. I always want to know who's doing what. Obviously, I recognize Ashley Birch's voice like instantly, but I looked through and like almost the entire voice cast is POC as well. So that was really cool. Also the cast of characters as well. But it's just, it's nice to see that representation is also behind the mic. And you need to look at what Apollo said in chat while you left. You need to scroll up on the chat or something because it made me cackle. It was amazing.
Jen made it very clear last week. She sometimes likes to be told what to do and how to feel. No. No, she does not.
Well, what's the whole thing about Justice being a dom then?
Yes. I think Justice, or actually, I think Vengeance would be a good dom. That doesn't mean that I would be his submissive. Like C's like.
Are you a brat? Okay. I know some terminology, even though I'm more vanilla than a Baskin Robbins. So, anyway, should I start recording on Audacity? Because I haven't yet. Have you?
No, I have not. And I would
the internet
have to
is
go
forever.
Get more. I know the internet is forever, which is why I'm not answering these questions online while streaming.
No, I just thought his comment was hilarious. Yeah, it was because I said when I said I hate being told how to feel in last week's episode. But anyway, I'm ready. I'm ready when you are. I
No, I need to catch up on the rest of this
blabbered.
chat.
Oh, okay. I was like, I just like didn't shut up the entire time.
Oh, I know. I heard everything.
Okay. Oh, you had your headphones on. I nervous talk, so everyone's like,
This
"Are you
one B
really an
said she hates
introvert?"
being told all
Yes,
the
I
time.
am.
Yeah. No.
I'm just
Okay.
scared of silence. So it also like I in a past life was a linguist, so I definitely know some words.
Oh yes, we are both cunning linguists. So you know.
Teehee.
Hmm.
Actually, that was one of the tropes for Sebastian because apparently he knows. Oh no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. That was for next week's subject. I started on the script early for next week because I need to pour my entire heart and soul into it. So yeah, I got confused. Anyway, next week's person, one half of the relationship, is a cunning linguist. That's like the name of one of his tropes, and it was funny. Yeah.
Oh,
I know.
yeah, sports is hard. Okay, all right. Are we ready to? Oh shit! I should probably pull up a script or something, or
I got
actually
it.
do a fucking podcast.
It's fine. I don't know why, but like because I figured you would need like a minute to pull up the script. My first instinct was to start singing freaking that song from Sound of Music. High on the hills, a lonely goat herd. That was like the first thing that popped up in my head for some reason. I don't know. I swear to God, I've only had a couple sips so far.
So far. Oh no! What happened? Oh. Okay, now we're back. Oh,
Okay.
oh, I forgot that this happens. It's so funny. So I can make like little emojis ran across
Is that the
screen.
Monster King flag?
Yes.
Yay!
I also love my atomical heart.
Oh, cute.
Yeah. Atomical? No.
Anatomical? Like
Yes.
anatomically correct heart.
Yes. Okay.
Words are hard.
Words is hard.
Oh, words is hard. Sorry. I can't. It's AP English all 4 years of high school. I can't say words is hard.
Okay. Also, I would really like it if my fucking laptop fan wasn't dying. I just need to just chuck this thing out the window and get a new one. Go with that. I have all of our podcast stuff saved to an external hard drive. We'll be fine.
Yeet it.
All right.
Do we say yeet anymore? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not cool, so I don't know.
All right, V. Let's start recording and do a podcast. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Ship, the podcast where we analyze, rate, and review all that the world of video game romances has to offer. I'm Genesis, the girl who is still reeling from some of the game footage we saw at the Video Game Awards.
And I'm Bravada, the girl who stayed up late last night to watch the Game Awards live, and just like everyone else, was obsessed with Flute Man during the Game of the Year like music medley that they did with the Philharmonic. I have to also mention, because I just think it's a cool thing, I saw him perform live when I went and saw like a Game of Thrones music concert when I lived in San Diego in 2018, and he was just as animated and amazing. He had like so many solos in that show because he's so cool. So it was really nice to the second I saw him at the Game Awards, I was like, I remember that guy. It was really cool to see him again. He's amazing. You guys should watch that if you haven't.
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Yeah, totally noticed Flute Guy. He big stick he stuck out quite a bit.
Yeah. He was passionate and played like 5 different instruments. Like it was so cool.
Okay. I think we are all set. If you're new here, welcome to the beautiful chaos. But you should know that our podcast centers on character and romance analysis and doesn't shy away from exploring the fun of fucking.
Or from the deep emotional connections built between two characters using specific in-game dialogue. So if you want to stay spoiler-free, then this isn't the podcast for you.
So here's your fucking spoiler alert.
Thanks for the spoiler alert, N7. And just like with all of our previous episodes, we'll assume that you have some background knowledge of the game and character in question, but we'll be providing context for those of you who may be unfamiliar.
Today, sad face, is the last day that we're in the city-state of Kirkwall. The character we're talking about is only available if you have the Exiled Prince DLC for Dragon Age 2. Get ready to listen to a lot of maker talk. Today's episode is on Sebastian Vael, Prince of Starkhaven and Chantry fanboy.
It's been years, and not once have you tried to get me to repent or turn to the Maker.
Preaching seldom works, Isabella. To change a person's heart, one has to lead by example.
That makes sense. I can respect that.
I grew weary of the strings of nameless lovers and the nights full of mindless pleasure. You will too.
That's the cruelest thing anyone's ever said to me. I think I'm going to cry.
Okay, one, hilarious. I love these lines. And for those of you joining in the chat, just be aware that the audio clips are going to sound like shit tonight. It will sound a lot better in post. Sebastian Vael is the youngest son of the Sebastian Vael is the youngest son of the royal Vael family of Starkhaven and a Chantry brother. He is also the only DA2 companion to not be player sexual, but heterosexual. He is at a critical moment in his life when you meet him. His whole family was murdered, leaving him the sole heir to the throne of Starkhaven. So he must decide whether to stay committed to his life of contemplation in the Chantry or return to his ancestral seat and claim his title. He wasn't always a chaste religious rogue, however. In fact, he was once the disgrace of his family. And quite the fuckboy, too.
Big surprise. Like most youngest sons of a royal and extremely privileged upbringing, he didn't have to worry about much. He never considered that he'd be in line for the throne, being the baby of the bunch. And so he spent his considerable allowance on all the things young men with extra money, no responsibilities, and lots of raging hormones do. Drink and women. He must have really sowed his oats because his parents exiled him and forced him into the Chantry, fearing that he'd father a bastard child. Sebastian escaped once, however, with the help of Grand Cleric Althena herself. You may remember her as the lady who wouldn't take a stand and ended up one of the victims of Anders' bomb.
She ended up helping him regain his faith, and he returned to the Chantry willingly after a time. Sebastian took vows of poverty and chastity Sebastian took vows of poverty and chastity to become a sworn brother of the Chantry, and we can assume that he was all happy-go-lucky until his family was murdered. He was forced out of his life of contemplation to deal with the fact that he was the last Vael alive and needed to do something about the whole Starkhaven has no ruler right now thing.
So, essentially, you can either avenge Sebastian's family so he can reclaim his title, or help him dish out some holy vengeance on the Vael's enemies in Kirkwall. So he'll either give up his Chantry life at Hawke's urging and go back to Starkhaven, or stay in the Chantry and just let someone else lead Starkhaven. I don't know. In Act 1, all that you can do as Sebastian is take out the Flint Company, the people who killed his family, and he can give you a bounty. He'll then say he'll petition the Kirkwall Viscount for aid in retaking Starkhaven, And that's the last of this Prince Adam lookalike you'll see for 3 years. Prince Adam's the beast when he turns human. Like, I could not unsee that. He looks just like him. Just, if you don't know, go look up a picture of what Prince Adam looks like. It's the same.
Oh, yeah. I totally see it. I also think that they kind of modeled him after his voice actor. But we'll get to that in the fun facts.
It's definitely common, especially lately in the games industry. I feel like everyone looks like their character now. They just take their face.
You mean like the new Idris Elba? Phantom Liberty.
Oh, I know. That was my favorite surprise at the Game Awards. Was I did not know Idris Elba. I don't know if anyone knew Idris Elba was going to be in that DLC. And I heard his voice. The second I heard his voice, I was like, oh my God. I love him so much. It's unhealthy.
Yeah. Okay. Back to Sebastian. A far lesser fun time than Idris Elba, but still, his Sebastian's short story is not over though. In Act 2, Sebastian has discovered who exactly hired the Flint Company to kill his family. This is when Sebastian can become a full companion, and you can help him find out exactly why the Harrimans, an old Kirkwall noble family, wanted the Vaels dead. It turns out a desire demon was behind it all. And this demon even had a name. Allure. A named demon is a big deal. She made Lady Harriman obsessed with the desire to seize Starkhaven, meaning she had to assassinate the Vaels to get them out of her way. She put Sebastian's weak-ass cousin on the throne as a puppet ruler, but her plans were thwarted by Hawk and friends. Of course. Same story, different demon.
I was a wild boy, a shame to my family. The Chantry made me a man. It's odd. When I wanted to rule, I would have been terrible at it. Now that I might be decent, I don't know if it's the right thing to do.
It's the wisdom not to want power that lets you use it wisely.
You didn't feel what that demon stirred in me. It cannot be right to lead any army to Starkhaven with such doubt in my heart. I owe you more than I can say, Hawk. I will offer my service to you here before I move on.
I can think of a few services for you to perform.
What? Why are you smiling like... Oh. Oh my. That's not what I meant. I think I need to pray. A lot.
Oh my gosh. He needs to go to confession. He's got dirty thoughts. Sebastian is left wondering, after this, if he should go back to Starkhaven and become a politician, or if he should stay nice and cloistered in the Chantry. Honestly, while he likes to say the Chantry saved him and it's like a noble calling and stuff, it's not really any different from who he was before. He's kind of shirking his responsibilities. Before, he did whatever his family disapproved of, avoiding any growth to potentially be a better prince. And now he's preferring to sit in the Chantry and avoid the outside world's many, many issues. Like we said in Anders' episode, the friendship path is not always the best path for the companion. In Dragon Age 2, it's usually more the role of enabler, supporting the companion no matter what. A rivalry, on the other hand, challenges the companion when they're where they're at, and they usually grow from it. They don't call it growing pains for nothing, after all.
Sebastian's life of contemplation, at least for the moment, has led him to question whether annihilating an entire band of mercenaries who were just hired for a job deserved to be killed for the murder of his family. Should he have instead only gone after the people who hired the mercs in the first place? Revenge. A dish best served not at all, apparently. He is also someone who is totally unbothered by the plight of mages. wondering what's so bad about life in the circle. He is a wide-eyed idealist, much like Liliana in Origins, and that kind of genuine goodness bothers most of the other companions, given that they are quite cynical. Most of them just poke fun at him, but Anders and Varric genuinely dislike him. Fenris is notable that he likes Sebastian, even going so far as to wonder about becoming faithful to the Chantry in order to find some comfort in his life. Talking about comfort, Sebastian cannot be swayed to find some comfort in Hawk's arms.
If you give it up, what then?
I suppose I must convince Elthina my commitment is sincere. Then I will remain here, to represent the Maker's interests as she thinks best.
Nobody tells a prince what to do. Or who to do it with.
Hawk, you don't think I'm not tempted, but I can't. I knelt and swore before the Maker that I would take no bride but Andraste.
I'm just talking about two people. One night and forgetting all your troubles.
If I broke my vows to be with you, I wouldn't be worthy of you. I already have enough sins to atone for.
Sebastian's whole thing is questioning what to do. Something he was firm in his belief before was his vow of chastity, however. There are a lot of people who dislike that this romance is a chaste one, as in there's no physical intimacy, no sex. Whatever your thoughts on it, Sebastian wants to be celibate for religious reasons. He's no virgin, but he has decided that it is what he wants to do with his life. I find it icky that Hawk will push for sex at every romance dialogue opportunity with Sebastian. He has to constantly reaffirm his belief to her and refuse her proposition. I obviously am not celibate myself. I have a daughter, but there are a lot of sexless marriages out there. Even if you aren't sexless for the entire time, you could go through periods of it. I did after my daughter was born, and I can promise my husband and I still loved each other just as much. I can definitely see how a marriage or relationship like this could work. So I found it kind of gross how so many in the fandom dislike Sebastian simply for that, or think he just needs to be tempted enough. Fixer fan fiction is a thing, trying to get him to or the headcanon that he will break his vow of chastity with the rivalmance. I don't know. Just don't romance him if you want to have sex. He doesn't want to.
Yep. I mean, I would prefer to have sex, but I still romance Garrus. I don't get that with him, but I still do it. And as for Sebastian, I respect him for his devotion. It's something he firmly believes in, and we shouldn't try and change it. This isn't like trying to change Fenris's mind about mages, or showing Tally that all Geth aren't the same. This is his faith, his belief system. And if he no longer wants to have sex, but have a fulfilling relationship in every other way, sign me up. Well, I mean, maybe not me, but the right type of Hawk could get signed up for that. All right. Now, we normally don't play clips so close together, but this is a DLC romance, so the content to analyze is just minimal. This is the conversation you get if you are friend-mancing Sebastian and push him to stay in the Chantry. Keep in mind that you can still rival-mance him, but it'll still be a chaste romance. That path will apparently end up with you being the princess of Starkhaven, and we can infer that someday he might break his vow of chastity. But that is not in this game. Not even a kiss. Nothing for me to analyze.
It's been 15 years since I lived in Starkhaven. The people there are only a memory to me. Kirkwall, the Chantry, that's real. That's where I belong.
Starkhaven's loss.
I can't say you didn't factor into my decision. But if I'm to stay in the Chantry, You mean the world to me, Hawk. I couldn't have gotten through this time without you. Join me in the Chantry. Pledge yourself to the Maker. We can serve him together, with a chaste marriage in his eyes.
I would gladly swear my vows beside you.
I'll speak to Her Grace about accepting you as a sister in faith. She'll recognize the purity of our love. I promise you, nothing will come between us.
Aw, that was really sweet. I like it. But I would take a guess that a former party boy gained some skills and would probably be able to deliver if given the chance. Also, a chaste marriage in capital H, his eyes. I've heard that phrase in the real world. That sounds a lot like we will do everything that doesn't count as baby making sex and it will still count as being virginal. But again, maybe that's just me reading too far into it, and he will remain steadfast in his decisions. Again, if that's what he wants, respect it.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, it sounds sweet on the surface, but I also don't, and I don't know if he means it this way, but it certainly can be my God, I don't know if you can hear my husband sneezing like 4 million freaking times. He needs to, like, hold it in. Sorry, he has allergies. He's allergic to everything. Weak. Anyway, so back to
Jade.
Sebastian. No, I know. I love him, but I think it's the cats, but I can't live without cats, so I just tell him to take Zyrtec. Anyway, so Sebastian. My thing is, like, it can be inferred, even if, Jesus Christ. Can you hear that? Because I
No.
certainly can. Okay, I'm sure it's getting picked up on my mic, though, because my mic is just sensitive.
But if I can't hear
anyway.
it, then the recording can't hear it.
I know, but I replace all of my audio with my locally recorded one because it sounds better every single episode. So that's why I don't want him to do it. Anyway, so Sebastian, I think it can be inferred that, even though he doesn't directly say it this way, when he's saying, like, oh, she'll recognize how pure our love is and, like, chaste marriage in his eyes and blah, blah, blah. The opposite side of that is, like, sex is bad and shameful and gross. Like, you can have a pure love that also includes physical love, you know? So, and like I said, I don't think he's necessarily making that connection, but it could be made. It definitely, in the real world, is made all the time with people growing up in very religious families or circles with I was raised Catholic, which is basically the chantry, right? And that is the message we all got as kids. So, I mean, that can be, they're adults. So if that's what they want to do, fine. But I can definitely see how it would come off like that to someone also. But in Act 3, Sebastian is mostly trying to convince Grand Cleric Elthina to go to safety at the Grand Cathedral in Orlais because of the mage extremists and a potential exalted march, aka Holy War, to wipe out the mages. Elthina wants to be the violinist on the Titanic and keep on playing while the ship is sinking, so Sebastian picks up the cello, resigning to stay at her side as long as she's in Kirkwall. We remember what happens here, right? Blondie Bear blows up the chantry, killing Mama Elthina, and Sebastian has a classic, "Con! You blow it up." I know that's two different references. If you get it, you get it. Moment if he's in your party when that happens. He's obviously not happy that the chantry was destroyed.
Oh my gosh.
Also, Apollo says he can hear the sneezing, so I told you. He needs to take some Zyrtec and go in a different room.
You brought in the Titanic. You used you used the words Blondie Bear, and then con on top of it. Woman, I swear. Oy. Okay. If you want to continue romancing Sebastian, you absolutely must kill Anders. So he will never, ever be an option for one of my hawks. Nope, nope, nope. If your love requires me to kill another human, I'm out. Regardless of whether it's Anders or not, or you can kill Anders on your own to begin with, romancing Sebastian or not, I'm sorry, but love shouldn't require murder. If you don't kill Anders, Sebastian will threaten to return to Starkhaven, gather his army, and invade Kirkwall. Not sure what Kirkwall has to do with Anders, the lone mage terrorist, but you know, Knight Commander Meredith wants to do the rite of annulment on the entire circle of mages in Kirkwall for Anders too. So apparently, guilt by association is just a thing in Kirkwall. And this will also have repercussions into Dragon Age Inquisition. No matter what you've pushed him to do, he will eventually return to Starkhaven. If you spared Anders, Sebastian will petition the Inquisition to invade and annex Kirkwall. If Anders was executed, Sebastian will petition for aid in rebuilding Kirkwall after Anders' bomb and resulting war decimated a huge portion of the city.
You're an amazing woman, Hawk. Had we met in different times? But let's not think on that now. The Maker favors us in this fight. He must, for we defend against his enemies. If we fall here, may we meet again at his side.
I know last episode I said, like, angry white guys with manifestos give me red flags. I will also include, like, righteous white guys with a religious agenda. That also gives me red flags. Because, I mean, what's funny to me is if you ask your companions their opinion on whether you should kill Anders or not at this part, Sebastian will be like, if I had been in the Chantry, would you be waffling? Save us a battle. Just kill the murderer. This bitch has been waffling the entire game about literally everything. For someone who is debating whether or not his revenge was worth it, he sure is quick to revoke that character development and descend right back into black and white thinking. Bad guy killed my mama figure? Kill him, or I'll raise your whole ass city. Super nuanced there, Sebastian.
And that's it for the romance. It's chaste and it's quick, and it also won't grant you either of the romance achievements. You can only romance him if you are not in a romance with anyone else, and also haven't ever flirted with any of the characters. That cuts out like half of Izzy's dialogue. You have to have 100% friendship or rivalry, and you must execute Anders. We've touched all this on already, but if you romance him as a rival, he'll say that he'll take back Starkhaven and he'll give it to Hawk, no less than a prince. He'll want Hawk to become Kirkwall's new Viscountess and say that the marriage between them will be the strongest alliance that the Free Marches has ever seen.
Mm-hmm. If you romance him as a friend, you already heard what happens in the earlier clip. You two have a chaste marriage in the eyes of the Maker. Yay! He's the only romance option that is not mentioned in the epilogue by Varric, which is funny. The next time we see Sebastian is actually in the Dragon Age comic Knight Errant, and it's about Sebastian's birthday party in Starkhaven. Cute. Guess who's not there? Hawk. Honestly, the romance is short. It seems cute. It's just not that deep. Sebastian seems to devote himself entirely too quickly to Hawk, given how indecisive he normally is. And personally, he's just a little too simple for this complex world. He's blithely unaffected by the suffering around him because he comes from immense privilege. And maybe a friend man's talk can overlook that, but I can't. I may not like Anders' romance, but I respect his desire for action and the betterment of his fellow mages. Sebastian's just like this Girl Scout skipping in a park, like, doesn't give a shit about nobody. He's just too shiny in this tainted world of Thetis.
Now, before we get into the second half of our show, where we will be joined by some special guests, let's take a quick mid break so you can hear some fun facts, some ads from our sponsors, and we can thank our wonderful patrons. Mid break dance. And I did forget to do a mid break dance last week because I'm like, yeah. Okay. Fun facts. The voice actor for Sebastian is Alec Newman, a Scottish actor who has been in a lot of other things. One of which was 2 episodes of Angel back in 2004, where he played the guardian of the tree, Drogon. And a bunch of hack-ons in the Hack-On DLC in Inquisition. But even more exciting and recent was that he was Anders Hellman and Adam Smasher in Cyberpunk 2077. He was also Smasher in the Edge Runners anime. How fucking cool is that? So he did play an Anders.
Yeah. Yeah. I honestly would not have known that. Like he changed his voice a lot. So pretty cool. And I usually have a good ear for voice actors. And I just honestly can't think of 2 more different characters than Adam Smasher and Sebastian Vael. Another fun fact that I have from the deep, deep recesses of my past life as a Catholic is that there's a saint named Saint Sebastian, and he is the patron saint of archers. Sebastian's an archer, so there you go. It's probably related in some way, given the chantry is essentially gender-bent Catholicism.
So just so you know, Smasher was a fuckboy back in the day. Like before he went all Borg body, he was very wham bam thank you man. Hope I didn't crush your bones. Go listen to episode 113, Smasher Pass, all about Adam Smasher, if you want to learn more about him. Hashtag shameless plug. All right. And now for the best part of the night, where we thank our lovely, lovely patrons. We have no reviews to read out, but we have some amazing shipsters to thank. Toasty and Apollo, Shanko and Misthios, Win, Bat Knight, Lizzie, and Rydell. Thank you, a million times thank you. Y'all are amazing. All right, get back into it. Okay.
Is it my turn? Sorry, I was
No, it's my turn, but I was like waiting for like a post ad break thingy.
Oh, I was like, shit, was I supposed to do something?
No, we're good. And that, lovely listeners, is where we would usually end our show. For this episode, we have 2 very special guests. You might recognize them if you listen to the Dragon Age Lorecast, but they have also been on our show a few times already. They also were us on the Isabella episode. Please welcome the Cops, Austin and Shelby. Hello.
Welcome, favorite friends of the pod. We play favorites here. I'm just kidding.
We're allowed. It's our podcast. We can play favorites if we want to.
Hello, I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here too.
Welcome back. How are you today on this fine day of Dragon Age content?
Well, I don't want to really say how I am, because I watched Absolution today and it was great, but I just have a lot of thoughts and I don't want to do spoilers, so I'll just leave it at the fact that I have a lot of thoughts. So
I'm unwell. All I'd say.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys going to do an episode on Absolution, do you think?
yeah, we're actually probably going to do 2 or 3 bonus mini episodes, covering a couple of the episodes at a time. So, yeah.
Good. I would like to hear your thoughts. I guess this is the one time we'll actually honor the spoiler system, seeing as it came out today.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm also sure Jen hasn't watched it.
I have not. And while normally I'm okay with spoilers, I'm like, oh, I don't want this spoiled for me, though.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, definitely watch it. Just go in blind. Okay, so let's just talk about Sebastian briefly before we get into our Anders fight. I can't wait. I'm just kidding. So we've discussed a lot of things about Sebastian today. Did you guys learn anything new, or did we miss anything?
I did not know that. Oh, sorry. You go first.
No, Austin, you go first because I'm sure that you'll have more to say.
I did not know that he offers you Starkhaven. Any of that kind of stuff around there. Mainly because I don't really talk to Sebastian that often. I think there's where it is. There's so little time, and there's so many conversations that need to be had.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't know that either. I also didn't know that he lived in Kirkwall for 15 years after leaving Starkhaven, which made me like think, how old is he? I just had assumed he was like late 20s, early 30s, but I feel like that maybe suggests he's a little bit older than that.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that
that's
does make him
true.
older.
Please tell me he wasn't like a wild bachelor as like a preteen or something. You know, like when was he forced to move to Kirkwall when he had to join the Chantry and be exiled? Because that's what I would assume. But I don't know. That makes him pretty young when he was going wild.
Even mathing it out, if he started partying at like 17, and then you have to go for at least a year or two in order for your family to kick you out of the house for being too much of a fuckboy. So that puts him around 20. And then 15 years after that, dude's at least 35. Possibly almost 40.
Yeah, according to the Dragon Age wiki, it says that because he hasn't been to Starkhaven in 15 years, it makes him at least 28. But he has to be older than that, or it's just kind of that's problematic.
Yeah, I
problematic
definitely
aged.
I feel like he has to be at least 30.
Yeah.
What are you saying about 30-year-olds?
Nothing about 30-year-olds. I'm just saying I pictured him as younger. I guess I felt like his mentality, very like steeped in rigidity, black and white thinking. I feel like that's very much a person who's in their early 20s time period in their life. So it just kind of surprised me that he was not that young anymore.
Yeah. And I think that there's definitely an issue with being able to portray age in physical appearance in a video game, because Wynn is supposed to be in her 60s, but all she looks like is the 20-year-old body model with white hair. So we don't know how old Wynn actually is. And then
I genuinely didn't know she was old until way later, because that and nowadays it's much better, but yeah, the time period these games were made was hard to tell.
But I also didn't know that you could become the princess of Starkhaven. I didn't know that was a thing at all, mainly because I almost never rival mance anyone. Personally, it feels icky. So I didn't know that was an option either.
Yeah, apparently he wants you to become Viscountess of Kirkwall, and then he wants to marry you, so then you can be Princess of Starkhaven.
And then
I'm
acquire, so Starkhaven can then acquire Kirkwall.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, I think it's crazy. Like, first of all, he still wants a chaste marriage. Like, it's never said that they're gonna like procreate. Some like dumb situation to have royalty that has no plans on having heirs. So maybe you should just pass the title off, Sebastian. But two, it's like he doesn't really care about staying in the Chantry because he doesn't, no matter what. And what he really cares about is killing Anders. Like, that's his whole thing. I could not believe when I saw how different it was between whether Anders was spared or not. He's either invading Kirkwall or helping Kirkwall. It's like, those are very different things. I don't know. Full of vengeance, huh, Sebastian?
Oh, hey, don't do that.
Sorry, I know you got a weird relationship with vengeance.
Right. I think that with Sebastian, Althena really is kind of like his mother because he's raised in the Chantry, and for lack of a better word, we can criticize Althena what she wants, but she is a good person. Like, from the standard, like, Althena tries to do good and she tries to help people. And so I think that given Sebastian's life, there's always been, like, his worldview is shaped on good people get good things, people get what they deserve, and bad things happen to them. Or Althena dying in the Chantry explosion is an innocent dying. I think that because he hasn't done the work to build up his faith and build up his personality and really have that structure on there, it just all comes crashing down right before his eyes the moment that Chantry blows up. And he has a choice that he could either sit and wallow and try to deal with this, or he could give into rage and give into what's easy. And he obviously picks it to give into what is easy.
That's what I would expect, like, a royal youngest son to do, though. Like, when has his life ever been hard? So he doesn't know how to deal with those big emotions because he's never had to feel them or deal with them. Good luck running Starkhaven, I guess. Like, not having coping skills. Or I guess he replaced his coping skills of, like, sex and stuff with praying, which I guess is... I think real people do that all the time, so, I mean, I can see him doing that too, I guess. Did any of you pick Sebastian as a romance ever, or would you consider romancing him? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Here is the real thing, and I'm sure Shelby might say something to this, but we both have undergrads and masters in religious studies. We both have worked or are working for churches. We have known Sebastian's our entire lives. We have known people exactly like him. And the idea of romancing him kind of makes me want to throw up sometimes.
Yeah, I could see that. I definitely could, as being somebody who is not very religious at all. I don't think that my personality type would mesh well with somebody who that is a key factor to their life. I don't think that I would ever pick Sebastian. Unless I was going through it for, like, specifically, if there was an achievement to unlock about, like, play the game 7 times and choose different options each scene here, then I would do it for the achievement hunter. But there's not, so
you don't get the achievement with him.
Exactly.
Like, so there's no point. I guess for me, like, Sebastian is so, like, not genuine. He comes off the whole time as, like, nope, I'm totally converted. I'm a born again Andrastian, like, but the second it's challenged in any way, he completely drops it, Like, he just is like, well, Chantry, just, everything's dead now. Doesn't matter. Gonna invade. Like, he's not actually religious. He doesn't actually believe in the Maker, really. So it's not real for him. It's just, I don't know, a facade, I guess. He's not genuine.
I think, and if you listen to our podcast, you're probably going to roll your eyes at me at this comparison. But I think to, like, analyze this, a good comparison would be to compare Sebastian and Cassandra. Like, Cassandra genuinely, really believes in the Maker. And you see that because she doesn't waffle, she wrestles. And those are two very different experiences. She faces things that make her doubt her real faith in the maker, and she has to wrestle with some of those things, even rethinking her theology when she sees the divine, or who she thinks is the divine, in the Fae. Like, that's a huge theological revelation for her. Sebastian, on the other hand, he never goes through anything like that. And we don't really, other than the discussion about sex, we don't really see him ever really talk about his beliefs in the Maker or in Andraste. The most we get is, okay, Anders and Varric are roasting him for his belt buckle. And we get him talking about the vow he made, but that's more about upholding a vow, upholding his word, than it is about a belief in the Maker. So to me, I don't really think we ever see Sebastian's relationship with the Chantry, with God. We see him talking about it, but we don't ever see him actually wrestling with any theological issues the way we do Cassandra, or even Liliana, or even Cullen, or even, hell, even Varric. I mean, we just don't get it. And I think that it is a disservice to him, to the character. I think it's a miss on BioWare's part. And so for me, it's hard for me to hold that against Sebastian, just because we don't see that side of him. So I just find him bland and boring. He's almost like a sheet of paper that, like, just write whatever you want to on him, because nothing's there.
Yeah.
That's fair. I guess, I mean, from what we do know of him, it seems like it's just for the aesthetic of being in the Chantry. He's not actually believing any of it. Maybe he does. Maybe if he had gotten more content and effort, I don't want to say effort, because I'm sure he got a lot of effort put into him, but it was DLC, so he can only do so much, I guess. I don't know if we'll ever see him again. I personally don't care if we do or not, but from what we have, he definitely is just kind of blah, like you said, very blah.
Doesn't he have a war table?
Yeah, he does. That's the part about either aiding Kirkwall or in helping him invade Kirkwall. So that's like the war table operation in Inquisition.
I can't remember what they actually say, but so both Cullen and Liliana have things to say about him in those, like when they talk about it, because they both know him. And it's just really funny because they don't say good things. And I think it's interesting, at least from a point of this. I really think the only goal of Sebastian is to better round out the party makeup, because the rogues are underrepresented in the parties. I mean, you have 3 mages, if you count Bethany. I mean, if you want a warrior, Dragon Age 2 is the place to go to find a warrior or a mage. Rogues are underrepresented. And I think that they didn't really have that big a plan for Sebastian. They're like, oh, well, let's just make him like this exiled prince kind of thing and seeing that up. I think because of how recent, like, so Dragon Age 2 comes out and then Frozen comes out, and like Sebastian and Hans are like the same character archetype. And so I think that's part of it too. It's not because BioWare doesn't know how to write religious characters, because they obviously do know how to write religious characters and deep religious characters. Sebastian is just, I think he's there for gags. I really do. And not the good kind of gags.
Yeah.
That was delayed for Jen.
No comment. No comment on the gags.
I wonder, it'll be interesting to see, because I was just thinking about specifically more like devout religious characters in Dragon Age that are companions. You kind of only get one per game. Like you have Liliana in Origins, and I guess Sebastian, and then in Inquisition it's Cassandra. And for the next one, and seeing as it's apparently in Tevinter, it'd be really cool to see, well, maybe not that cool because I don't really like Tevinter, But like maybe one of the companions is going to be like a devout Imperial Chantry follower, and that would be cool to see. I don't know. It's weird that we only ever get one when the whole world is so religious. Like it touches everything. You'd think that a lot more people would be more devout, like the average people, not someone working in the Chantry or sworn in the Chantry or whatever.
I think something to remember on that is like we don't get the average everyday person of Thetis in our party. We get super crazy people who are like specialized warriors and whatnot. And so I just feel like the party makeup we get is not necessarily a complete picture of Thetis, but I do agree with you. Like Thetis is very religious, more religious, I think, than our world, which is weird. I've never really made that connection before, but I do agree with that.
And I will say for that, like, yes, Cassandra is like the devout religious person, but there are like Dragon Age or Inquisition is like the pro Chantry game in a lot of ways. I mean, if you really think about it, so you have Cassandra, Cullen, Liliana, Vivian, and then Sarah is also Androstian.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
So is Blackwall.
Yeah. And you're literally the herald of Andraste.
Yeah.
But I think
no matter who you are.
I think there's a difference between being Androstian and being devout. Like Cassandra is devout. Liliana is devout. I don't think you can say that Sarah is devout in any way whatsoever. Same for maybe Blackwall. Like I think he talks about religion like maybe once. So I think there is a difference between devout and religious, first of all. But actually I don't have a second wall. That was my only point.
Yeah. It's my comparison is like because I grew up Catholic and the Catholics that would only go on Easter and Christmas Eve Mass. It's like them. Yeah. They're not actually that Catholic. They just show up when it matters, quote unquote.
The high holy days, yeah.
Yeah, the high holy days, exactly. Well, if you want to, do we want to be done with Sebastian so we can move into general Dragon Age stuff?
Yes.
Sweet. The first thing we wanted to do was to have you guys, in your opinions, rank the companions. You can include Sebastian or not, because for me, he's like bottom of the tier for Dragon Age 2 companion romances. So you guys can rate them, and then I also want Shelby to explain that why they all need therapy and not love, because I've quoted you saying that. You've said that to me. I love it. I agree.
I have a clarifying question. Is this what, because my rankings would be different, is this what we think are objectively the best or what we prefer?
I think you can say objectively best for the ranking, and then you tell your preferred romance personally, like who you chose for your hawk.
Okay. You want to go first, Shelby, or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
So I wrote my ranking as my personal favorite ranking, but I think I stand by it as the best too. So I think it's the same. So bottom, I'm going to start from the bottom up. Bottom of the barrel is for sure Sebastian. That is, there's 5 of them, right?
Yep.
Okay, just checking. I make sure I had everybody. Jen is going to fight me, but at number 4, I put Anders. I don't hate Anders. Like some of the other people in this podcast right now. I don't hate him. But I do hate his romance. I don't think it's well done. And the thing that gives me the ick the most is if you're a female hawk, which I'm almost always a female hawk gamer, whatever, he doesn't share with you his like full history. He doesn't ever tell you that he was in a relationship with a man. He doesn't share that with you, and that really bothers me like a lot. And I think I talked about that on our show when we covered Anders too. And so I totally like support where Anders is coming from. I support his opinions. I support him saying mages should be free. I just don't necessarily support the way he went about it. But yeah, I just hate his romance. So anyways, Meryl is at number 3. I was surprised that I didn't absolutely hate it. But I am in the place where I do think she just needs a friend more than she needs a romance. Fenris is my number 2. I enjoyed his romance, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if I had played this when I was 15. And then at number 1 is Isabella. And I was kind of surprised that I put her there, honestly, but I just think that especially when you romance Isabella as a female hawk, it just really shows her that someone can value her for herself. And I don't think she's ever been valued as a person, as Isabella before. And so I think she really grows a lot. And so that's why I rank her number 1.
I
Um,
sorry, I agree with your Sebastian ranking. And I agree with your Isabella ranking. I would swap Meryl and Anders. I think that it's just for me, I don't like Meryl's personality type of the hyper shy, timid. I like her rival Mance a little bit more than I like her friend Mance, only because I feel like she grows a backbone. But if I feel like my personality type is going to overpower you, whether it's the personality type of the video game PC that I'm playing, or even my own personality type, I can't make you fall in love with me because then I am crushing you and I don't like that. I don't like Fenris's romance for my personally, but I do think that it is a better romance objectively than Fenris than Anders. You will get me to admit that.
I just wanted on the record that Shelby and I did not talk about this beforehand. We haven't even discussed these questions with each other. My ranking is exactly hers.
Oh,
We
you
are
guys,
married.
married or something? But I do just want to add about when I played through the Anders romance, I didn't like. It was just. I think I need to go back and play a different Hawk personality because I think it ranks so low to me because I think Anders and the sarcastic Hawk do not mesh well together. Because I don't think and like I haven't played through Awakening, but he's much more witty in Awakening than he is in Dragon Age 2. And like you as Hawk just say jokes to Anders and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "What? Come on, man, you're smarter than this." And it just didn't work for me there. I will say in that romance, he asked me because I slept with Isabella in that playthrough. He asked me about Isabella and I was like very couple seconds away from breaking up with him and going to be with Isabella, and Shelby told me I had to do the Anders romance.
I did say that.
Um,
Because I feel like you need to do it at least once. I've done it. I hated it, but I did it.
But I will say, and you heard it here from the Dragon Age Lorecast people, Isabella is the best romance of DA2 because Isabella is the only person that is actually honest about her feelings with you.
yep.
And that shows an emotional depth that the other 4 do not have.
Yep.
And I think I respect that as an adult going back and looking at that, respecting that as a person who says like, yeah, I don't want to be exclusive. I'm not looking for love. This is what I want. This is how my expectation on it. Get on board with it or don't. There. It's very much akin to, Bull saying like, you say stop, we stop. And that's where it comes in. And I just really appreciate that. So my favorite, will always be Fenris because I guess I wasn't really 15, but I was a immature 22-year-old or whatever. And I love Fenris.
Same. I was 19 when I played Dragon Age 2 the first time, and I only played it like once and then never looked at it again until this podcast research. And when I rewatched the romance, I was like, that's when I was like, I honestly think if his romance had started in Act 3, my opinion would be different. But because of where he's at, where the romance has to start just from the game mechanics, like, I don't think that was a good time for him. He thought that too, so good on him for like leaving. But it was just awkward. But as the 19-year-old, I was like, oh my god, him, emo boy. But yeah, I definitely think Isabel's the best because of what you just said. She's upfront and honest, and like she's kind of surprised that she ends up liking you, but she never leads you on or uses your relationship against you, or codependency, clingy, lily padding behavior like Meryl and stuff. Like she's her own fully formed person. And honestly, like Isabella as a character, she's so easy to come off as like fan service. If you really aren't looking at her or listening to her talk, you're just like, oh, she's just for the boys. But like, I love how she supports all the women, and she's so much more than that, just like Miranda is in Mass Effect 2. So you can't just write her off as fan service at all. That's just who she is.
I also like
agree.
BioWare. Yeah, we'll give you fan service, but we're gonna sneak in character development in it too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
It's like sneak attacking all the guys that like would just like her for her tits, and then they actually like learn to value women's opinions and shit from her or something. You know what I mean? Like it's so brilliant the way that they do it. They just sneakily get you. And then for us, if we're like me as a woman, I don't look at her and hate her because I'm like, oh, she's not just her boobs. Until I had a breast reduction, I had boobs a lot like hers. So I've never been someone to be like, oh, she's just showing off her tits. What a slut. It's probably because she can't help it, because she can't find a shirt that fits. Well, or a chemise, I guess. I mean, she could probably find a shirt that fits, but she doesn't want to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Free the titties. Let them show if they want to be out there. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But I will also say that I am one of those guys who was like, Izzy Titty's hot when I first saw her. And then it developed into, okay, I actually like the brain inside of her head also. But still, I like Izzy Titties.
Yeah.
When Shelby first played the games, she goes, I love Isabella, but girl, you would be able to see everything in her outfit. Like, there would be nothing left for the United Nation.
Mm-mm. And
Yeah,
I know
exciting logistically.
there's no way that she could do what she does fight wise or just movement wise in wearing herself a black eye with her own tit. Like, I don't know how they are not just flopping around all over the place. Plus, just going off of like historical garments, what she's wearing is probably mid-weight linen. The second that shit gets wet, you can see everything. It's white too, and she's tan. You could probably see everything anyway. But anyway, what I wanted to say, I wrote some notes about the pros and cons of the friendship rivalry dynamic, because it's the only game that we have that in. And it's really unique with what we've already talked about, of how like the challenging with rivalry versus like enabling / supporting with friendship. But like for romance in particular, because it's not approval based romance where you're just earning their trust and like getting them to like you, it means that there's freedom for Hawk as the player, because you're just like, I could have whoever I want without much effort, but as for the romance options, they have no agency anymore. It refuses to let them have any sort of outright hate, no matter what you do. Like, even if they're 100% rivalry, you can still romance them. So I thought that was an interesting dynamic. Like, I don't know how you guys feel. Would you, in your romances, do you prefer them to have a choice? Like, if you do something that they disapprove of, you can't romance them? Or do you like this rivalry friendship deal?
I have already said I don't like the rivalmance, so I don't love that. Just because I guess I feel like rival is not the right word for being a person who is assertive. You know what I mean? Like, I guess that's where I'm at because I'm an assertive person. I'm not going to back down from my beliefs. I'm going to challenge you to be better, but that doesn't mean I see you as a rival. So to me, that terminology has never stood up. And when I played two the first time, I very much felt that the rival friendship system was a way for them to eliminate the ability to like game the system in Origins with gifts. And I still think that. But it's really interesting to me the way it's progressed through the three games. Like, you can just cheat in Origins, and then two comes, and you're like, okay, well, I can kind of like game the system with rival friendship still. And then in Inquisition, it's like, you have no idea what's going on unless you go to the person and like you just can hear how they talk to you and kind of guess at it unless you look it up online. But it's really interesting to me that evolution. I don't love the way Inquisition does it. I would prefer to see something more like Two or Origins, even though I don't love the rival language.
I don't prefer, like, yes, believe it or not, I'm going to criticize Dragon Age 2 in this moment. I do not like the rival friendship moment system. Mainly because I'm very sick of the protagonist who can do no wrong, really, in their companion's eyes. And Mass Effect's a bigger culprit of this than Dragon Age is. And I think that DA2 takes a lot of cues from Mass Effect. I think you can tell that in its style and how it plays and everything going on with that. And so I want to be able to piss off my companion enough that there are consequences for how I speak to them.
Agreed.
And,
In Mass Effect, though, it's like if you don't go along the right dialogue path, you're not going to be able to get to your lock-in scene and get a romance with them. If I piss you off enough in Dragon Age 2, now we're going to have hate sex? Yeah.
I will say I do like this one aspect of it in Inquisition where you have not necessarily like certain conversation options, but the choices you make in different missions when they approve or disapprove of that. I like that because I think that does mirror a little bit more closely to real life because like if your Inquisitor chooses one thing that's morally against this character and then they disapprove of you and then you can't romance them because of that, that makes sense to me because they don't want to romance someone who would do something like that that's like against their beliefs or whatever. So I do like that, but I definitely agree that it was so you never know where you stand with anyone. There's no way to look up like a score out of 100 or something. Like the closest thing you can do is Google like the terminology they call you, or like I mean with Solus because I romanced him. Duh, like it's easy to know when he loves you because he calls you Vanan and stuff. Like you know really clear, and I know all the romance options do that, but like when you're not romancing them and you're just friends, it's really hard to tell. Like, are we besties? Are you mad at me? Unless they outright hate you. Like if you're just somewhere in the middle, no idea. So I have no idea if they're gonna keep that the same in Dreadwolf, or at the very least, I would like a way for console players to be able to access a way to see some sort of numerical score of approval, or if they're gonna do approval. Because I know PC gamers can like see the code or something somehow, but I am a console gamer, so I want to see it somewhere in a menu. So I don't know.
I agree.
You could do an in-universe kind of explanation for this in that, like, so in Origins and Inquisition, the party members are kind of with you out of necessity. Like, the Inquisition exists out of a necessity. Hawk just rounds up a bunch of people who are emotionally unstable, and they just decide we're all going to be emotionally unstable together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. Speaking of emotionally unstable, my least favorite romance is, and I know you guys saw the. Oh,
So
is
who
it
did you say?
okay?
Yeah, you're fine now. But who did you say is your least favorite?
Anders, duh. My
Really?
least favorite
You
is
would rather-
Anders.
You would rather romance
Well,
Sebastian.
Sorry, I forgot Sebastian exists. Sebastian's last.
Okay.
Anders is fourth.
Okay, I just have to say
first of all, yeah.
for all the Swifties out there, you know the song "I Forgot That You Existed." That's how I
Yes.
feel about Sebastian.
It isn't love, it isn't hate, it's just indifference.
Indifference.
It's literally Sebastian. But I know you guys saw the little meme I made of like fight scene of like, I know it. Say it out loud, say it. Abomination. Are you afraid? No. Like that's the first thing I thought of when I saw Anders' romance video. I'm just like, they're just so toxic. And the amount of people on Twitter after we did his who like came out and they're like, I know he's so toxic, but I still chose him. I'm like, I don't even know if we ever do another episode where we analyze the players for who their romance choices are. I feel like we can't touch Anders because I feel like we would offend I would offend people. You know, like my analysis of why they chose him, it doesn't make any sense to me. His character aside, like I said, I don't hate Anders. It's hard to like him at the end, but I don't hate him. I certainly understand his position for sure, but his romance to me is the thing that I don't understand. I do not understand it. I know he's hot and Vengeance make a good dom. I get that, Jen, but like I don't understand why you would like him. He's straight up dangerous.
Maybe Jen can elaborate.
Yeah, elaborate. Yes, the Blondie Bear Mancer.
Oh, right now? Okay. All right. Like,
yeah, sure. Cracks Knuckles.
right,
Let's go.
Cracks Knuckles, adjust chair. They are all emotionally unstable. They are all prone to violence. Anders tells you, don't do this. Don't be the idiot. Don't be the idiot. Don't be the idiot. All right, fine. We'll be idiots together. Like, it's not a good romance. I agree with that, but it doesn't mean that I shouldn't do it. I don't have a whole lot to I can't defend his actions of blowing up the chantry without giving us the opportunity to get people out of it first. If there had been a timed mission where Hawk runs around taking people out of the chantry and, you know, racking up Paragon points or some shit like that, yes, I think that it would have made it that a lot better. But it also wouldn't have been as impactful and it wouldn't have started a war. And what happened is the fact that all this time that we spent in Kirkwall and all of the years that me as Hawk spent trying to get the mages and the Templars to work together to see eye to eye at anything, none of it was working. Anders drew a line in the sand and said, pick your side here and now. It is going to happen. And that level of decisiveness and taking action, I find that attractive.
Yeah, Sebastian could never.
I'm gonna say something, Jen, and I don't want you to be offended, but it sounds like you're more attracted to Vengeance than you are Anders.
Justice, Anders, and Vengeance are all one in the same.
I will quote Hawk in Inquisition. There was never just Anders.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There was never just Anders. So whether or not I'm attracted to Vengeance or if I'm attracted to Justice or I'm attracted to Anders, they're all the same.
I guess my only issue with that is it's not like Anders is equally represented alongside the spirit and the demon, because the spirit and the demon are one and the same, and Anders is kind of just overwritten like a code in a computer. His body is what it's inhabiting, but Anders is no longer there, because if he was, we would see traces of who he was in Awakening, which was him before the possession, and he had a completely different personality, like almost unrecognizable. You can see a little bit of it in the very beginning of the game, and you can see a little bit of humanity, at least, not the same character, but some humanity if you're rivaled him and he actually is like, oh my gosh, I am the monster after he blew up the chantry. But otherwise, I don't think it's Anders anymore. Like, I think his personality is just kind of overwritten. Because he even says, like, when justice/vengeance is taken over, he blacks out. Like, he's not in control of his body. He can't do anything. So the more and more that becomes more often, the less and less Anders is actually existing in his body. So he's not speaking, even though you hear his voice, and he's not doing things, even though you see him move.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
Very
just
much agree with that. So we were all trying to talk at the same time. I said this on our Anders episode, but like, if you are a person that's listening out there and you don't know how to feel about Anders and like when justice becomes vengeance, all the stuff, I really recommend reading the short story, written by his writer in two. And it's not that long. You can find it on the Dragon Age wiki page. It is really illuminating. Before I read the short story, was already pretty convinced that Anders, when he and Justice merge together, that's when Justice becomes vengeance. And after reading that short story, I'm 100% convinced. The rage and revenge and all the things he feels, all the emotions he feels, is intense, very intense. And so just reading that short story very much confirmed for me that Anders stopped existing a long time ago and Justice stopped existing a long time ago, that the person we meet in Dragon Age 2 is vengeance, and almost all vengeance, not entirely, because otherwise the clinic, he probably wouldn't operate the clinic, but most of what we see in 2 is vengeance, I think.
And
I will agree.
I will say this. So right before Anders takes you on the mission where he plants the bomb and he lies to you, he says, "I have found a way to take care of justice once and for all, to solve the justice problem." Unless he has some secret, which is possible, it is Dragon Age, there are 3 ways to end a possession. You can become tranquil, you can die, or you can give in. I think he gives in. I think he lets justice have full control. And from that moment on, there is no longer any Anders. Except
that or he's convinced he'll be killed, so that's the other way.
Right. And I stand by this except for one moment, because I had the unique opportunity that in my romance with him, I still killed him. And mainly because I was playing a purple red hawk. And so when you kill him as Hawk and you've romanced him, his quote is, "I'm glad it's you, and I'm glad I could have been happy for a little bit." So I do think that is Anders.
Mm-hmm.
Because that shows regret, and that shows remorse, and that shows a level of humanity that Justice wouldn't understand. When he's given the speech about no compromise and other things, I really think that's vengeance.
That's the thing with spirits, I think people forget, is like, they are one thing. Justice is just justice. Justice doesn't have any morals. Justice is reactionary. You did it wrong, here's what the right is. And vengeance is justice flavored with anger, but it's still just one thing. But the second a spirit comes into a human, we're so many things, like, or a person, an elf, whoever. So many things, so many emotions flavoring the pot, like, there is impossible for it to not be fundamentally changed when it's introduced to that environment, because it only knows one thing. It doesn't have these complex emotions flavoring our choices and our decisions, which is why, like, I 100% agree that, like, he calls it justice a lot, but I don't think it was ever justice the second it entered his body, because the demon is just the spirit that's been changed. Like, we have that in canon multiple times confirmed by even Anders himself when he says, "My anger changed him." Mm-hmm. Like, he admits it. Solus tells us in Inquisition that that's what happens when a spirit is twisted from its purpose, and that's what Anders did, unintentionally, of course. But, he did grow up in the circle, and there's one thing everyone who learns from the circle is to not let a spirit possess you. You don't want to become an abomination. That's like the big main lesson for all the mages. So he knowingly did that. He definitely had good intentions. Doesn't really matter. He's ultimately the one who paid the price for that. And then because he let a spirit that doesn't belong in the world come inhabit a physical body and be in the world, that's what the ramifications were. It sees this complex, muddy issue, mages versus Templars, which is like at the heart of everything in Dragon Age, and it tried to fix it, and it just made it worse because that's what it does. There was one thing on Twitter someone said after we posted our thing for Anders that I thought was interesting too about Inquisition. It was Jessie on Twitter, and she said, I played a mage at Inquisition, and I was so frustrated that I wasn't given the choice to be pro Anders in that game. So many of the mage dialogue options are variations of, no, now, I'm not like one of those mages picking fights with Templars. And I thought that was true because I had never really thought about that because I was never pro Anders myself. But like, you really don't get a choice to be anything but like Chantry, like pro Chantry, like you said in Inquisition.
I mean, I think you have the opportunity to be anti-circle in Inquisition, but not necessarily pro Anders. I think there's a fine line there.
Yeah, I think that we can't really, at this point in time, I don't think we can adequately judge the repercussions of Anders' action on the world yet, because there hasn't been enough time. But in the view of the person in 940 Dragon, Anders' act would be viewed as a negative thing. Now, we might still view it as a negative thing, but history might color it differently. Like, without Anders, there would be no war. We would not have been ready for Criphius. We wouldn't have... None of this would have happened. But I don't know that. I think with Anders, too, we do have to talk about the elephant in the room with Anders, which is Fenris.
Yeah.
I think of all things, and I don't say this as a pro-Fenris thing, of all things, Anders' reaction, if you sell Fenris back into slavery, is probably his most condemning thing he does.
Agreed. I don't like that one at all. There's absolutely no defense of that. The only slight thing is that he doesn't get disapproval points if you keep Fenris, right? He only gains approval if you give him back. Okay.
And if you want more about elves and Anders, you can go listen to our episode. We had Psych 88 on there, and we talked about elves and Anders and everything. It's definitely one of his flaws. He has to
I think that's proof that vengeance was there, honestly. The fact that he approves of Fenris going, because he doesn't like Fenris. They've been butting heads the entire time. So to see Fenris defeated and just completely ruined as a person, I feel like is vengeance reacting, Like, it's just more proof that vengeance is there. I also want to say, like, I definitely think Anders is kind of, like, he's done a lot of bad shit, but especially in Inquisition, he's kind of the scapegoat for everything. It's like, we can't pretend that this shit wouldn't have happened anyway if Anders hadn't blown up the Chantry. Like, they already were trying to kill all the mages. Like, Meredith was already being infected with red lyrium. Like, this was already going to happen. He sped things along for sure, and I don't think he made anything better. If anything, he made people more afraid of mages and more or less likely to want to support them.
And this is kind of my point. And I do have a fan theory that because Anders apparently just like comes upon the solution or the bomb, I think Meredith gave it to him. Because if we follow progression, if there's no Anders, Meredith would have made up her own reason to annul the circles. That world state has a very different view of mages than one in which Anders acts. Especially given if the Kirkwall, if Meredith annuls the Kirkwall without the Anders incident, And then the Templars annul the Ravani Circle. After that, the conversation that happens in 940 with the Navarro Accords is going to be a very different conversation. And so I think that Meredith planted this so that she would look just.
I like that, and it tracks for sure. Because where is Anders going to come up with this idea on his own to plant a bomb? And like, how would he know the list of ingredients to get unless he's talking to the guy down the bomb maker? I know she's yelling into the microphone. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just interesting that he chose to blow up the Chantry versus like Meredith's office or something, you know?
Right. I've always thought that. Like, why would you not blow up the gallows? The symbol
Mhm.
of Deventer slavery, the
Yep.
symbol of oppression to all mages, all elves. Like, it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless he was trying to get the biggest reaction possible, which I think is accurate. I do think that is
Yeah.
his motivation.
I could definitely see an argument too, though, like for Meredith planting that idea for him, and because with Grand Cleric Althena out of the way, it has no dissenting voice either anymore. So, in either way, it could be Anders like making sure that there's no dissenting voice for, and making sure that there's no voice for peace, or it's Meredith being like, now I won't have any opposition. You know, it could go either way. And as we know from lots of Dreadwolf teasers with the Red Lyrium idol, some other things that we may know now, she is important. So it's gonna come back for some reason, for something.
So I didn't talk about why they all need therapy, but I will do that now. I have said this before. I think that no one should be romanced into. They're just all so unhealthy, and Hawk too. Which, it does mirror our own world, and we're all unhealthy in some level too. And like, I do think everyone deserves love, but the older I get, I guess, and the more I see of like healthy, loving relationships, the more I just feel for everyone in Dragon Age 2 because they're all going through so much. They're living in an absolute cluster of chaos constantly, and they all need therapy because they're all not only going through their own personal stuff, but they're all experiencing so much trauma on the daily. Like, thinking about all the main quests, like, okay, they went on the Deep Roads expedition and they got locked in the Deep Roads with an ancient idol that tries to kill them and takes over the mind of Bartrand, and then Sandal gets lost and kills an ogre somehow, and how the hell did he do that? And then the sibling gets infected, and that's all in just Act freaking 1, not to mention the escape from Lothering and the journey to Kirkwall and trying to get into the city and then fighting all the Canary and trying to convince Sister Patrice or whatever her freaking name is that she shouldn't be such a bitch. And then, all the stuff with Leandra, my God, and Gamlin and the Hawk or the Amel family estate. And then we go to Act 3 with Meredith. Oh, and I forgot in Act 2, the Viscount and his son and watching him get totally killed and just all of the things. It never, ever ends. How much trauma can one person take? Because whatever the hell is going on in Kirkwall is too much trauma. So I really do think they all need to be in therapy, and they probably shouldn't date anyone for a long time. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I think on the other hand, it's like when I was thinking about just comparing BioWare games, like with Mass Effect, the romances for me, especially in Mass Effect 3, work because the stakes are so high that you're like, find some happiness where you can. And I think that's the case for Dragon Age 2 also, and any of the Dragon Ages, honestly, because BioWare doesn't do like minimal crises. It's always world-ending shit happening all at once, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. And I guess that's the point of a video game character too is if that were happening to me, I would die so fast. So they're very resilient and strong. So maybe they need a little less therapy than a normal person would, just because they're not Fenris, for sure, not Fenris, but Hawk. I mean, they seem, especially for playing sarcastic Hawk, they seem to take everything in stride, which is odd considering the shit their family goes through.
I don't know. I would argue that means they need more therapy, right?
That's yeah, that's true.
Like they hide it so well.
Mm-hmm. Just
I
shoving
think-
it down reminds me of that. Yeah, they're
Well,
just shoving it down.
Aveline calls it out in the beginning. If you make a flippant remark to her in a moment where she's trying to be serious with you, she's like, can you stop hiding your feelings and tell me what this is a serious moment for me? And so it's like, oh yeah, Aveline calls you out on your shit for being too flippant. And I completely agree. I don't think anybody should romance Hawk, and I don't think Hawk should romance anybody, in complete honesty, because I think that everybody in Dragon Age 2 deserves somebody with the emotional capacity beyond a 12-year-old. And that is definitely who I see, like a purple Hawk being. A red Hawk definitely feels the anger that is a moody teenager lashing out in anger and pain. And then you've got the green Hawk, who is who I went with while romancing Anders. So it did also flavor things differently for all of those dialogues options that I had. But it was just like, I'm going to look at everything in the world as if I can fix it all if I have my toxic levels of positivity. Toxic positivity will win the day. And as long as I get everybody to love me to their maximum, then we'll be good. Even if it means that I have to leave Fenris completely in his mansion the entire time because every decision that I'm going to make is going to make him hate me. But I ended that game with everybody at maximum friendship. Because I could still game the system.
Except for oh no, I was going to say except for Fenris.
I think
then you said you gamed the system.
For Hawk has spent their whole life being the caretaker. Whether it was caretaking for Leandra and his sibling and their siblings, or if it's the companions that he brings around. Eventually, they're not going to need caretaking anymore. And Hawk is not equipped to identify themselves outside of that role.
Yeah. Hawk's like, who am I the champion of now? No one needs me anymore.
Right, and like if you think about that, of course he came when Varric called the Inquisition. Like if I was Hawk, I would be like, look, Varric, this sounds really bad, and I hate that Corypheus dude, but I've got my, awesome boyfriend Fenris, and I'm gonna sit here and not be involved because I've paid my dues. Which is basically what the hero of Ferelden tells them. Be like, yo, I got more important things going on. This sounds bad, but good luck.
At least the hero has a little bit more of a, I can't join the Inquisition because I'm starting to hear Corypheus, and so I'm going to stay as far away as I can.
Or if you're mine, I can't that, but also I'm Queen of Ferelden, so I'm busy.
Some of our heroes are also searching for an end to the calling, so some of us are on quest.
Someone needs to go talk to Fiona about that. Someone needs to explain why she's the one Grey Warden in the whole world who just suddenly isn't tainted anymore. Just magically. So, still wondering about that, BioWare.
Yep, same. There's a lot of things I'm still wondering about. Top of the list. You know what's top of the list for me? Austin's gonna roll his eyes. I don't care. Freaking fucking for Apollo, the architect. What happened to that guy?
Yep. First of all, architect, if no one knows, the only darkspawn that's like actually coherent and like nice. Clearly not like driven mad by the call or whatever they hear for the old gods. Like you can carry on a normal conversation with them. So many things
Didn't the architect take away Fiona's plight?
No.
I don't think we know how hers happened. I think it's just a mystery.
The architect didn't take away Fiona's blight or whatever it's called. Her taint. In the Calling novel, he gives it to other Grey Wardens, and that's what happens. And I think he does take it away maybe at the end. I can't remember because it's been a long time since I've read that novel, but not to Fiona because she's off doing other stuff. I think my headcanon is that, which I don't love this, but I think that pregnancy fixed it. That's what the book hints at, because she gets pregnant with Alistair. So that's what I think happened.
That leads me to my number one thing that I want to know. I need an explanation for why half-elves are just humans. And I swear to God, if the explanation... Yeah, exactly. But I swear to God, if the explanation is, well, at the time when we made Origins, could not render a half-elf in-game. Like, I will be so mad. Because Alistair's half-elf.
Shelby.
Yes.
Fiona gets pregnant by King Merrick. What is unique about King Merrick's DNA and blood?
This is a good point. That you all should read the Until We Sleep and the other comic that's related to that one. Merrick does have special blood. He has dragon blood. So that's also a factor. Thank you, Austin.
So he's a...
Did that happen pre-Alistair?
Yes.
Okay.
So before our obligatory, we didn't do it this week, but our obligatory Game of Thrones reference, Merrick is a Targaryen.
Merrick is a Targaryen.
So actually all the Therons have dragon blood, going back to Calenhad.
That's cool. How does the blood transfer through semen? Would it not just affect Alistair? Why does he get to be a Grey Warden, but Fiona, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I don't know the answer.
Okay.
I think it's less about semen than it is more just about genetics, since you brought that up.
Well, I mean, if that's how she got cured, was being... Well, okay, wait, hold on. I just thought of it, though. I'm dumb. I've had a kid. I should know how this works. The fetus and the mother, or the person who is pregnant, shares blood while they're pregnant. So that's... I just answered my own question. I'm sorry. I swear I've had a kid. I know how this works. Ostensibly. Anyway, it doesn't help Alistair, though, so now I'm confused.
Right. I don't know.
There's something in the genetics that passes down. I can't remember exactly how Merrick gets dragon blood, but I will say this. This is an important thing. According to Inquisition, dragon blood has anti-demon properties. And the blight is connected to the Fade and some type of demon, whatever, darkness, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's possible. There's a lot of connecting dots here.
Yeah, there are. Because the recent cinematic trailer that they released, where they had the little thing of Solus putting the veil around the Golden City and it turns black, and then the 7 symbols around the edge of the circle are all the elven symbols. And there's also 7 old gods, or 8 total, I think. So it's like everyone's like, oh, are they the same thing or not? And we don't know yet. I would love to know personally. Also, I'm going to be mad as a Solusmancer if he caused all the blights by creating the veil, if that's all interconnected somehow, because I know it's somehow it's connected. And then lyrium is Titan blood, and red lyrium is tainted Titan blood, and so I'm like, everybody's gods are real except the Maker, because we still don't know if he's real. Maybe he is. What if Solus is the Maker?
I do think all the gods in Thedas are. I do think they are all real, and I very much dislike the idea that Andraste was just a crazy mage who saw a spirit, thought he was a god. I do not like that. I do not like that theory because it very much denies Andraste's agency, which granted we've never seen her as a playable person or depicted as her own person in a show or something, but I just feel like a religion as big as the Chantry probably would not have emerged on someone else's complete delusions. I think there has to be be something real about
Yeah.
it.
Well, the fact that her ashes have powers and abilities, I think just already disputes that as
Yeah.
that it can't be true that she was just delusional. Like there is truth or some truth in that. Like there is that's the thing, is like their world has so much evidence and just instant in your face proof of divinity in all the cultures. There's just no way that the maker doesn't exist, and somehow that's truth. Maybe they've combined the truth of a bunch of cultures, kind of like the origins of Christianity. You know, like they took pieces from different places that they were going and bringing it in to make it more palatable to the locals, and then it just all became part of that. Maybe that's how Andrastianism was formed. And like different things from them were just different pieces of these other gods and deities that we know exist from various Dragon Age things. I have no idea. We're going on 2 hours now. I feel like we could go on this forever.
But here's a on topic or on theme question. If Andraste came back, take out Sebastian, which DA2 companion would try to sleep with her first?
Isabella.
Izzy?
Would try to sleep with her
Sebastian
first.
And Izzy would. You think Sebastian and Izzy would try to compete, and then Sebastian would try to raise Kirkwall because Izzy slept with his bride?
You know what? I think Izzy would try to sleep with her first. I think Andraste would like Isabella because of her past slave connections. And I mean, she's holy, so she'll probably like forgive her and stuff. But I think she would go for Fenris just because of Shartan. Like she must have an elf thing. Plus, he suffered, you know. Yeah, he suffered, and he's going towards the Maker. The seeds are there.
Shartan and Andraste.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we don't know
there's something.
what you just said.
Oh,
Sorry,
I just said we don't have confirmation that Shartan and Andraste had a relationship.
It's true. We don't have confirmation, but
we also don't have confirmation that her Mabari was real. But I'm sorry, 100% that dog is a good boy, and he was real.
True.
That's true. I check in mate there, Jen. There you go.
They might not have had a romantic. At least headcanon that he like pined after her, which is why he was so devout. Maybe she was done with men because of her. What was his name? Started with mouth.
Parath.
Yeah, there we go. This sounds like a bad name. And then when she died, right? He was like, "Oh no, I made a mistake." Wasn't it that? I can't really remember that one.
No,
I thought he regretted.
Tried to pretend that nothing, like he didn't do anything, and then the inventor Archon of that time, whose name is Hysarian, basically told everybody because he was so guilty.
Well, and on that note, do you guys anything you wanna shout out? Final thoughts, plugs?
I will
thoughts. You can plug a thought though.
I will just say we haven't covered all of the Dragon Age 2 companions yet. We've talked about Varric, Anders,
Meryl.
And Meryl. I think that's it. But I think our Anders episode is really good. We had Psych on as a guest, and he brought in some modern day references and just completely knocked it out of the park. Just really great analysis. So if you want more Anders content, definitely check out that episode, because I think Psych did a really phenomenal job.
And it's not just Psych, it's you two talking with Psych. Sure. Yeah. On this show, things can get a little weird, and sometimes the actual hosts of the show aren't there for the night. So it is definitely you guys talking with Psych. And no, I agree. I really did enjoy that episode. Listening, I will always take more Anders content.
Even if we want also
I will also say that if you want more Two Girls content with Dragon Age, listen to the Solus episode, which is where V guest with us, or the Zevran episode where we had Jen on.
Or the Nug episode.
Oh yeah, the Nug episode, which we hosted, but we were a little different.
That was
I have to
so
say, I'm very
much
proud
fun.
that I've seen at least 2 people that I've convinced to romance Solus from that episode alone. And
Yeah.
I am proud of that.
I'm in
Yeah,
the
but-
middle
I'm not
of
saying
a
you have to like
Solus
him.
playthrough right now.
Ooh, you don't have to like him, but I definitely think it's worth it to experience because it really is different than not doing it. Well, you don't do it with him, but you know.
Well, I
If you
mean,
don't romance him, you really don't see a lot of his character.
it's because
Gives
of you two that I am doing a Fenris romance run right now, you know. And then in Inquisition, I really want to play a male Inquisitor, so my options then become limited. But so I think I'm gonna go with Cass, and then I probably will keep the same world state that I have, and then but I want to experience all of the romances in Inquisition. I really, really do. Because I'm like, I want the white picket fence with Cullen. I want the trauma drama that is Solus. And yeah. And then I want to go ride the bull a few more times. So, you know.
Hey, you can do all those romances and ride the bull.
Wait, what?
Yeah, you can. You just have to get the cutscene before, and then you
Mm.
can just tell Bull to stop, and then you continue.
Wait, hold up.
Yeah,
I need to
unlike
know.
Sebastian.
If you safe word, do you end the relationship? I've never safe worded, so I don't know what happens there.
Yeah, if you say stop, he's like, "Okay, we're done."
Oh.
Are you sure?
No.
You did this. You're the one I watched do this. Because you
No.
rode the bull, and then you romanced Josie.
Yes, but I broke up with him.
But he says, "Do we need to talk?" And you say, "No, we're gonna stop."
Oh, saying that you
different.
want to stop is something different than saying Kato and safe wording.
Yeah, I don't know what happens if you safe word.
Okay.
He doesn't chain you from the ceiling, I imagine.
Probably not.
Or
Yeah.
I was like, that would be some
Anywho.
bullshit. Yep. All
Final
right.
thought on Sebastian. I think it's stupid that you can't romance him if you ever flip. That was my final thought. He's pretentious and a brat.
Also, I will say this: Solus at least gives you a little more than Sebastian does.
That's true.
I'm sorry. He right before he breaks up with you, he gives you a real passionate kiss, and there's some butt grabbing, and I was like, not expecting that at all. And I was like, oh boy. And then he's like, actually, Vanon, about this, bye. And then I'm like, no, it was so good. Yeah. I mean, I actually like the way that's a whole thing. We're going to get to him next year, but I obviously like the way his romance progresses, even though it's sad. I don't always want a happy ending. It's fine.
Sometimes you need to cry. Oh yeah?
That's my favorite part about BioWare. That's why we can argue about Anders. It's because he's so complex. You can read him 2 different ways. They literally just said it in the cinematic trailer. Like, is Solus a hero or is he a villain? It's really depending on what story you listen to. And that's the same with all of the villains in Mass Effect, except for fucking Kai Lang. He's a piece of shit, one-dimensional, awful, shoehorned villain that should have never been in Mass Effect. I said it. That's it.
That's not a hot take, honey. None of us are going to disagree with you.
I have never hit a renegade interrupt so fast.
That is the only positive he brought to the entire series. The only thing good that came out of that was, this is for Thane, you son of a bitch, I think is what he says.
The last playthrough I did, I romanced Thane, and that was the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced in a video game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also like it that if you're, sorry, I'll tangent for 2 seconds. I also like it that if your Miranda dies, he says, "This is for Miranda and Thane." And I'm like, all right, I like. Fuck Kai Lang. I don't know if I would actually fuck Kai Lang. That is a question.
Oh,
for
God,
another
no.
episode. So you went over this meme in like 0.5 seconds, and I don't think people understand how actually funny the meme that you created for this episode
Oh,
tonight.
thanks.
Okay.
We could post it.
Do you want to be
I did-
Edward or Isabella?
Is
We're gonna read this out.
Is her full name Isabella? I thought it was just Bella.
No.
Oh, I don't
Isabella
read.
Marie
I only read
Swan.
Twilight once and hated it. Okay. I'll be Bella. I can't act, so we're on the same level.
All right. First line is yours.
Fuck. Oh, I don't even know how she says this. I haven't seen this movie. She's just like, oh, I know what you are. That's what she does all the time, right? That's how she acts.
No. Shelby, are you gonna be a better Bella? Or do I need to come to be Bella?
Dude, I've never seen this movie. All I know is that she has like mini seizures all the time trying to say stuff. Look,
I know what you
Kristen
are.
Stewart is a good actress now, but Twilight is a different story.
No, writing sometimes impedes good acting.
Yes.
Okay. Then no, yeah. I don't blame her. I think they did their best with what they had, and what they had was a pile of shit.
So Jen, do you
Sorry,
want me
not
to be
sorry.
Bella?
Yes.
Yeah, you guys do it. It's fine. I'll just post it. How about that?
'Cause I want this moment, please.
So it's, I know what you are.
Say it. Out loud. Say it.
Abomination.
Are you afraid?
No.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is so good. So good.
If
You're
you
welcome.
post it, can you put Hawk's face on Bella?
I thought about it, but I was like, I mean, Hawk could be Bella. You never know. It's an RPG, but yeah, I could do that. I mean, I did a really shitty job because I don't know how to graphic edit, but I just was like, I need this to be in existence, and I couldn't find it, so I tried to make it
This is
because
the
that's literally all I could think of.
perfect game format.
Oh, all right. And if you like what you are hearing, please be sure to leave a review on iTunes on all of our shows. The Two Girls, One Ship, Cyberpunk Lorecast, Dragon Age Lorecast, the Aragon Inheritance Cycle Page by Page podcast, Assassin's Creed Lorecast, Holocron Histories. I think I got them all. Yay! Or give them all a rating on Spotify and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. You can now find me in the Cyberpunk Lorecast channel with my co-host Toasty, and of course in our Two Girls One Ship channel on the Robots Radio Discord. Come give us a follow on all of the existing social medias by the time that this comes out, and on patreon.com/2girls1ship. Links to those are in the description.
I'm on the Robots Radio Discord as well, and on our own Two Girls Discord server where we nerd out on all our CGI significant others. Be sure to check out our live streams on Twitch on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 7:30 p.m. Pacific Time, or watch the YouTube video a few days after the stream. Our podcast episodes release on Mondays because you need at least one good thing on a Monday.
So thanks for listening, and remember,
beauty is in the eye of the controller.
oh my god.
I guess I'll
My
stop
recording
recording
is
now,
an
seeing as we're
hour-
at 2 hours.
I was like, I'm at an hour 50 for this recording.
Yeah.
I'ma have fun editing.
I know, though. I'm like, I love our talks so much, but I just know I'm going to spend the entire weekend editing once you give it to me.
Oh, I'll
And I
give
have
it to you.
13% of my battery left.
Oh no.
Yeah, I like to live dangerously.
Speaking
Where's
of our
the-
mini podcast, we have to go record another one.
Oh,
Oh boy.
okay.
Well,
All right.
Yes.
have fun. Thank you for coming as usual. Always love
Yeah.
talking with you.
Always.
Thanks for inviting
For
us.
anyone still watching. Oh,
Heck yeah. I don't think I have
Mhm.
anything else going on tonight, but thank you guys for coming out and joining us. I cannot believe you got me with a gag joke, Austin. Are you fucking kidding me?
Did I get you with my GIF earlier in the Discord chat too? Because I was hoping I'd get you then.
Oh wait, my body. Yes, yes,
Excellent.
What if?
the one that he posted right after you for the "I'm ready."
Oh.
And also, I am going to find that little moment where I swear you said the one word that is not allowed on this show because it sounded exactly like it. And I was like, what?
I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't pronounce
didn't hear
it correctly.
Austin said
I would
cut
never-
sing. He said cut sing.
Oh no, I saw what Shelby said in in the
I
chat.
would never
I just meant I didn't
intentionally
hear.
use that word
No, I know
as a
you
man.
wouldn't. As a decent
I have a lot of
non-Canadian, 'cause
Australian
fuck you,
friends,
hole.
so that word doesn't matter to me because of that. But it matters to a lot of people here.
True.
I got
But I
called it
didn't
once
hear
in a voice chat, and ooh, they all jumped on him. Yep.
No name calling.
Oh, I was being a righteous bitch. Like it was intended to come off that way. I was acting. It was like I can play the corporate fuck you, and I went into manager voice and acted like a royal bitch. And then one of the people in the chat was like, "Oh, I can't believe you did that. You sound like a total." And I was like, "Hey, what?" And then all the other people in the chat jumped on him. And that's where like the whole Toasty Jen beast mode friendship thing started. It was because Toasty was like, "You absolutely do not call a woman like that. You do not call a woman that around me." He like went completely off.
Toasty. That's cute.
Yeah.
See, now I'm scared to ever voice chat anybody ever, though.
Oh no, it was a one-time thing. Like he got railed and he's never done it again.
Good.
I still talk to him all the time.
Bitch.
All right, we
Okay.
gotta let our guests go. All right.
Yeah, bye, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Stop stream. Where's my button? Okay, bye,
I know.
chat.